Welcome to the story. Don't forget to like, subscribe and support me. In the silent void of deep space, Captain Jackson Vance stood at the helm of the Odyssey, his sharp eyes scanning the sea of stars before him. The mission had seemed simple at first: to chart the outer territories, ensure Earth's colonies remained untouched, and return with valuable intelligence. But fate had other plans. Zara Kal-El, the ship's scientist and diplomat, broke the stillness as she moved up beside him, her brow furrowed in concern. "We've detected something," she said quietly, her voice cutting through the low hum of the ship's systems. "Anomalies in the energy patterns of a nearby star system. It''s. Todd." Captain Vance turned to her, his instincts immediately alert. "Odd how?" Zara pulled up a holographic display, the blue light casting a glow across her face. "The readings suggest advanced technology far beyond what we've seen from any known species. This isn't just a rogue signal or debris field. Someone, or something, is out there." Vance studied the display for a moment, weighing their options. Earth had made great strides in interstellar travel and technology, but they were still new to this arena. Other species had been navigating the stars for millennia. The idea that they had stumbled upon something ancient and powerful made his gut twist. But they had a job to do, and Earth needed to know what was out there. "Plot a course," he said. "Let's see who's home." The Odyssey shifted silently through the cosmos, its sleek, dark hull designed to blend into the vastness of space. As they neared the source of the signal, the tension on the bridge grew. Vance's crew was battle-hardened, seasoned from their time fighting off pirates and skirmishing with rogue alien factions. But this felt different. Unknown. A sudden blip on the radar sent a jolt through the bridge. Zara tapped furiously on her console. "We're not alone," she whispered. "Multiple ships approaching fast, and they're armed." "Shields up," Vance barked. "Get me a visual." The view screen flickered, then locked onto a formation of alien vessels cutting through the darkness like knives. Sleek and angular, they bore no insignia that Vance could recognize, but their deadly intent was clear. The lead ship's weapons flared, sending a beam of destructive energy toward the Odyssey. "Evasive maneuvers," Vance shouted. The Odyssey twisted sharply, the blast narrowly missing their hull. "Return fire." The ship's turrets roared to life, unleashing a barrage of energy rounds. The alien ships were fast, darting and weaving, but one of them took a direct hit and spun out of formation, its engines sputtering before it exploded into a fireball. "This isn't a random encounter," Vance muttered, gripping the arms of his captain's chair. "They knew we were coming." As the battle raged on, Zara's fingers danced across her console, pulling up data faster than the computers could process. "These ships," she said, her voice tight with concentration, "they belong to the Zalkrin Empire." Vance's eyes widened. The Zalkrins were a myth, a story told to scare rookies in flight school. An ancient empire that had supposedly ruled half the galaxy eons ago before disappearing without a trace. If the Zalkrins were real, and if they saw Earth as a threat, "Get us out of here, now," Vance ordered. The Odyssey veered away from the battle, its engines screaming as they pushed into maximum warp. The alien ships pursued but eventually broke off, retreating back into the void as mysteriously as they had appeared. Breathing heavily, Vance turned to Zara. "I need answers, now." The neutral starbase they docked at was a stark contrast to the chaos they had left behind. Located on the edge of neutral space, it served as a meeting ground for species across the galaxy, from merchants to diplomats to mercenaries. But Vance knew this wasn't just a stop for supplies. They needed to regroup, and more importantly, they needed information on the Zalkrin Empire. Zara wasted no time. She delved into every database and diplomatic channel she could access, trying to piece together the puzzle. Meanwhile, Vance met with his officers in the Odyssey's war room, the holographic display showing a map of the galaxy and their location relative to the Zalkrin's territory or what little they knew of it. "We were lucky to get out of there alive," Commander Reeve said, his voice heavy with frustration. "Those ships were hunting us." Vance nodded grimly. "They're not going to stop. They see us as a threat, and if we don't figure out why, Earth could be next on their hit list." Reeve leaned forward, his eyes narrowing. "I say we go back in, find them before they find us. Take the fight to their doorstep." "We don't know what we're dealing with," Vance countered. "The Zalkrans are more powerful than anything we faced. This isn't about picking a fight. It's about survival." Before the argument could continue, Zara burst into the room, her face pale. "I've found something," she said, breathless. "The Zalkran Imperi, they're not just attacking us because we're a threat. They need something from us." "What could we possibly have that they want?" Reeve scoffed. Zara tapped a few buttons, bringing up a detailed schematic of the Zalkran fleet's energy signatures. "They've been using an ancient energy source here, something far beyond our understanding. But it's failing. They need Earth's technology to fix it." Vance stared at the display, his mind racing. "So, they don't just see us as a threat. They see us as a solution to their problem." "Exactly," Zara said. "But there's more. There's a faction within the Zalkrans that doesn't want to repair the artifact. They want to use it to reset the balance of power in the galaxy. They believe the only way to ensure their dominance is to wipe out emerging threats like Earth before they can grow too powerful." Vance felt the weight of the revelation settle on his shoulders. This wasn't just a war. It was a battle for the future of the galaxy. The diplomatic talks at the starbase were doomed from the start. The Zalkrans sent an envoy, a cold, calculating figure named High Commander Zaltran. His presence alone was enough to send shivers down the spine of anyone who crossed his path. Zara, ever the diplomat, tried to reason with him, but it was clear from the start that Zaltran had no interest in peace. "You Earthlings are an infection," Zaltran sneered. "You've disrupted the natural order of the galaxy with your rapid expansion and technological advancements. The Zalkran Empire has maintained order for millennia. We will not allow you to upset that balance." Vance, standing beside Zara, kept his expression neutral, though his blood boiled beneath the surface. "We're not here to upset anything," he said evenly. "We're just trying to survive." "Survival is a privilege, not a right," Zaltran shot back. "And your time has run out." The talks ended abruptly, with Zaltran storming out of the chamber, leaving the Avengers in a precarious position. The Zalkrans weren't going to back down. If anything, the failed negotiations had only solidified their resolve to destroy Earth. As Vance and Zara returned to the Odyssey, the weight of their situation pressed down on them. They needed a plan, and fast. But as the days passed and the Zalkran threat loomed larger, tensions within their own ranks began to boil over. Commander Reeve's betrayal came as a shock to everyone. Vance had always trusted him, seen him as a brother in arms, but trust can be a dangerous thing in times of war. When Reeve disappeared from the ship during a routine maintenance stop, alarms were immediately raised. The truth came out soon after Reeve had been in contact with a rogue Zalkran faction, one that promised peace in exchange for the Avengers' surrender. "He's handed over our battle plans," Zara said, her voice tight with anger. "They know everything." Vance's fist clenched at his sides. Reeve's betrayal wasn't just a personal blow, it had endangered the entire mission. And now, the Zalkrans had the upper hand. At the heart of Zalkran territory, the Avengers prepared for one final battle. The stakes had never been higher. Zara had uncovered the location of the ancient artifact that powered the Zalkran Imperi, a relic from a forgotten civilization. If they could disable it, the Zalkrans' hold on the galaxy would crumble. But it wouldn't be easy. The Odyssey slipped through the outer defenses, its stealth systems working overtime to keep them hidden from the Zalkran scanners. On the surface, Captain Vance led a team of elite soldiers, while Zara, now a crucial part of the mission, worked to disable the artifact. Vance moved swiftly through the corridors of the Zalkran stronghold, his team of elite soldiers fanning out behind him. Their mission was clear: reach the core of the facility and disable the ancient artifact that powered the Empire. Every footstep echoed ominously as they passed through the sterile, high-tech hallways, each corner potentially hiding an enemy. Tension crackled in the air like static electricity, and Vance's grip on his rifle tightened. Zara's voice came through the comms, steady and focused. "Captain, I'm approaching the control center now. It's heavily guarded, but I think I can disable the security system." "Stand by." Vance nodded, even though she couldn't see him. "Copy that." "We're heading for the artifact chamber. Keep me updated." The team pressed forward, each member on high alert. The Zalkreen defenses had been fierce, but the Odyssey's cloaking technology had given them a window of opportunity. Still, Vance knew that window wouldn't last forever. They had to work quickly. Suddenly, a blinding flash of light filled the corridor, and an explosion rocked the walls. Vance barely had time to dive for cover as energy beams tore through the air. The Zalkreens had found them. "Ambush!" one of his soldiers shouted, returning fire. Vance pressed himself against the wall, his heart pounding in his chest. The Zalkreen soldiers advanced with ruthless precision, their black armor gleaming in the dim light. They moved like shadows, their weapons humming with deadly energy. "We're pinned down," Vance yelled into his comm. "Zara, we need that security system down, now." "I'm working on it." Zara's voice crackled back, the tension clear. "Give me 30 seconds. 30 seconds felt like an eternity. Vance's team was outgunned, outnumbered, and the Zalkreens weren't showing any signs of letting up. He watched as one of his soldiers, a young recruit named Davis, was hit by a blast and went down with a scream. Blood spattered across the floor as Vance cursed under his breath. "Hold your ground!" he shouted, firing his rifle and taking down one of the Zalkreen soldiers. The air was thick with the smell of burning metal and ozone as the firefight continued. Just when it seemed like they wouldn't last another minute, the lights in the corridor flickered, and the energy shields protecting the Zalkreens dropped. "Got it." Zara's triumphant voice came through the comms. Vance didn't hesitate. "Push forward." His team surged ahead, firing with renewed determination. Without their shields, the Zalkreen soldiers were vulnerable, and one by one, they fell. Vance led the charge, his focus unshakable as they cleared the corridor and reached the door to the artifact chamber. He paused for a moment, taking a breath as he looked at the massive door before them. This was Ida, the heart of the Zalkreen Empire's power. If they could disable the artifact, they could cripple the Zalkreens and end this war. "Zara, we're at the door." "How's it going on your end?" Vance asked. "I'm in the control room," she replied, her voice calm but urgent. "I've deactivated most of their systems, but I can't get a lock on the artifact's power source. It's ... It's like it's alive, Jackson." "I've never seen anything like this." Vance clenched his jaw. "Of course, it wouldn't be easy." "We'll handle it from here. Just keep the defenses down." He motioned for his team to stand back as he placed a charge on the door. The explosion was deafening, but the door held. Whatever was behind it, the Zalkreens had protected it with everything they had. Vance set another charge, this time more powerful, and signaled for his team to take cover. The second explosion was enough to blast the door open, and Vance's team rushed into the chamber. The sight that greeted them was both awe-inspiring and terrifying. At the center of the vast room, suspended in a swirling vortex of energy, was the artifact. It was massive, almost too large to comprehend, and it radiated a pulsing, ominous light. Strange symbols etched across its surface glowed with a malevolent power, and the air itself seemed to vibrate with its energy. Vance's mouth went dry. This was Ida, the source of the Zalkreen's dominance, and it was far more dangerous than they had imagined. "Zara," Vance said into his comm, "we're in the artifact ... It's alive." There was a pause on the other end. "Alive?" "Jackson, be careful. If it's sentient, it could be more dangerous than we thought." Vance approached the artifact cautiously, his weapon raised. "Suggestions?" Zara's voice came back, steady. "You need to disable it, but I don't think shooting it is the answer. If the energy field is organic in some way, Damaging it could release a catastrophic amount of power. We need to find a way to shut it down without triggering a chain reaction. Vance nodded grimly. Of course, it wouldn't be as simple as blowing it up. He motioned for his tech specialist, Samuels, to approach. Samuels, get a reading on this thing. I need to know how to shut it down. Samuels, a quiet, methodical man, scanned the artifact with his handheld device, his brow furrowing in concentration. It apostrophes ... like nothing I've ever seen, Captain. The energy is off the charts. But ... there's a pattern. It's almost like it's communicating with something. Vance glanced at the glowing symbols. Communicating with what? I don't know, Samuels said, shaking his head. But I think if we can disrupt the signal, we might be able to neutralize it. Do it, Vance ordered. Samuels worked quickly, adjusting his equipment as the rest of the team stood guard. The room was eerily silent except for the low hum of the artifact, which seemed to pulse in time with their own heartbeats. Vance's nerves were on edge. Something didn't feel right. The air in the chamber was thick, oppressive, as if the artifact was watching them, waiting for something. He couldn't shake the feeling that they were running out of time. Captain, Samuels called out, I think I've got it. I just need a few more. Before he could finish, the artifact flared to life, the energy vortex swirling faster and brighter. The ground shook beneath their feet, and a deep, rumbling sound filled the chamber. Vance's heart leapt into his throat. Samuels, get it under control. I'm trying, Samuels shouted, his fingers flying over his controls. It's reacting to something I don't know what. The artifact's glow intensified, and suddenly, a massive wave of energy exploded from it, knocking everyone off their feet. Vance hit the ground hard, his vision swimming as the shockwave rattled his bones. For a moment, everything was chaos. The team scrambled to recover as the artifact pulsed wildly, the energy spiraling out of control. Zara's voice came through the comms, frantic. Jackson, the artifact's energy levels are spiking. If you don't shut it down now, it could take out half the galaxy. Vance forced himself to his feet, his mind racing. They were out of time. If they didn't stop the artifact, it would destroy everything. But how? He looked at Samuels, who was still struggling to stabilize the device. Samuels, shut it down. I'm trying, Samuels shouted back. I need more time. We don't have time, Vance yelled, his heart pounding in his chest. The artifact pulsed again, sending another shock wave through the chamber. This one was even stronger, and Vance felt his body slam against the wall. He groaned in pain, struggling to stay conscious. But then, through the chaos, a thought pierced his mind. The artifact was alive. It was reacting to something. What if it wasn't a machine that needed disabling, but a consciousness that needed understanding? Vance pushed himself to his feet, ignoring the pain that shot through his body. He made his way to the center of the chamber, his eyes locked on the artifact. His team shouted at him to stay back, but he didn't listen. He had to try something. Reaching out with trembling hands, he touched the surface of the artifact. The symbols flared brighter at his touch, and for a moment, everything went still. And then, a voice echoed in his mind. You are not ready. The words were clear, cold, and filled with ancient knowledge. Vance's heart skipped a beat. This thing was sentient, and it was speaking to him. I know, Vance thought back, his mind racing. But we don't have a choice. If you don't stop, you'll destroy everything. Everything ends, Captain, even you. Vance gritted his teeth, his vision blurring. Not today. The artifact pulsed again, but this time, the energy didn't explode outward. It seemed to resonate with Vance's words, as if considering them. There is another way, the voice said, softer now. But the cost is great. Vance hesitated, his mind racing. What cost? The artifact didn't answer. Instead, its energy began to fade, slowly at first, then more rapidly, until the chamber was plunged into darkness. Samuels let out a shaky breath. It apostrophes ... It's powering down. Vance stepped back, his legs weak. He had no idea what had just happened, but the artifact had listened. For now, the threat was over. He looked at his team, battered but alive, and then at the darkened artifact. The galaxy had been spared, but Vance knew this wasn't the end. Whatever the Zulkrans had awakened, whatever ancient force had been behind this, it wasn't finished with them, not yet. Zara's voice crackled over the comms. "Jackson, are you okay?" Vance took a deep breath. "Yeah, I think we just bought ourselves some time." But in the back of his mind, he knew the cost had yet to reveal itself.